John Bowen is a commercial artist who spent 8 years, we have this book here, 8 years in the U.S. Air Force from 1961 to 1969. He is an author. This is his book, 11 Months and 19 Days. He'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. He is an illustrator. He's an artist. He's been an artist his whole life, but our government asked John to illustrate for 11 months and 19 days the airlift operations in Vietnam during that time. And his art has helped him heal from the effects of the war. So please give a warm welcome to another veteran of war, John Bowen. Thank you. Thank you for coming, John.
I want to thank everybody for inviting me here to talk. I'll give a little bit of background on myself. I was born in the Bronx. Sure.
Yay!
My parents moved out of the city when I was 10. We moved across the river to Jersey, a place called Irvington. I graduated from Irvington High in 1959. I immediately went to work in an advertising agency in Newark, New Jersey for 2 years as an apprentice artist and then as an artist. At that particular time, the draft was on, and the Army was starting to send me letters, or the Selective Service Board wanting to know what I was doing, so I knew something was going to come soon. And I decided to look around and see if any of the branches of service had anything that was connected with art. And I found that the Air Force had illustrators, so I immediately signed up with them, and I was very fortunate enough to get it after I finished my basic training. I spent 8 years in the service. I was sent to Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin, Texas. I met my wife there. We got married a year later. By 1965, when I re-enlisted, I had 2 children. Like I said, I re-enlisted in 65, and that kind of set the mood for what was going to be happening. I was a staff sergeant. I was in charge of the base graphic shop. In 1967, I got my orders to go to Vietnam. I left in November of 67. I was attached to the 834th Air Division Headquarters Unit at Tunsanut Air Base. The first thing that happened to me when I went over there was I was sent to the wrong base. So I was supposed to go to Tunsanut, but the flight landed in Cameron Bay. I was a little nervous because I went over as a support trip. And usually they went over as what they would call replacement troops. We didn't go over in a whole unit, so here I am, I'm going to the war. And I was going over by myself, even though I was in a plane load of GIs. And I go to the wrong base, so I'm really kind of nervous because I don't know what the hell's going on. And somebody told me that there was a place on the flight line where I could get a hop to Tunsanut. So I went over there and spent the day there, and finally got a plane out and arrived at Tunsanut in the late afternoon. So I had to spend the rest of the day not processing. I just stayed in the billeting area, and the next morning I did my processing, and somebody from my unit came and picked me up, and I met, I reported in, and then I was shown where my duty station was. It was really not a bad deal for going to Vietnam. My heroes are the guys that were out in the jungle, fighting every day. you know, I started to get to work. I was the only illustrator in the whole division. It was a 200-man headquarters unit that I was supporting. I was doing charts and graphs and presentations and things like that. Well, one morning I came into work and they said, "Have we got a job for you?" And what it turned out to be was I was supposed to graphically document all the airlift operations around the country. So that meant going out into the field. Now that was kind of scary for me, but because whenever I did go out, you know, I had to go out with my helmet and my flak vest and my M16 and all that kind of stuff. And that picture over there is from a photograph that somebody took of me when I was in the field. So that's me, actually me, sketching. Sometimes I worked with a photographer, sometimes I worked alone. And I did that for probably about 7 or 8 months of the time that I was over there. And I worked inside and outside. I spent a lot of time on the Tan Son Nhut flight line sketching. What I did was I drew all of the different types of loading and unloading of cargo, of troops and things like that. I drew the planes, I even drew the people. This drawing over here is me in the right-hand corner sketching how they unloaded a C-130. That was typical of the things that I was doing. And they told me that it was going to be training aids for the cadets in the Air Force Academy. So at one point I remember after working for about 7 months on this project, I had all my stuff stored in a certain place, and one day I came into work and it was all gone. And I immediately asked my captain what was going on, and they said that they came in from the Air Force Academy and took all my work. So I was a little upset about that, but then I realized that it really wasn't my work. I mean, the government was paying me for it, so. And I felt good that it was going to the Air Force Academy. Some of the things that we experienced over there in the Saigon and Tan Son Nhut area during 1968, the first thing, I was in country for about 2.5 months when the Tet Offensive broke. And our unit, being a support unit, we weren't issued any weapons. So here we are, all this fighting going on around us, and we had no weapons and we didn't know what was going on. And that happened a lot in regards to when things were going on, you only knew what was happening where you were. We figured that people back home knew more about what was going on than we did. We get like briefings every so often, and they tell us what was happening. Another thing that we experienced during the Tet Offensive was a sniper got into our area at one point and wounded a couple of guys. I actually seen the action, and so immediately the people that did have the weapons were looking for the sniper, and somebody spotted somebody walking on top of around a radar tower, which was like just down the street from us, and everybody commenced firing right away. And then we found out that it was an American that we killed, so that was a friendly fire incident that I witnessed. And that was a pretty traumatic thing for us. Anyway, after about a month, and the Tet Offensive, came to an end and everything, things calmed down for a while. And then on February 18th, we had our first rocket attack. They dropped about 200 rockets on the base, and the next morning the news media came in to cover the event, and we went to work the next morning after the attack, and we got to our work area, and it had been hit pretty hard, and there was a church in our area that serviced all the different denominations. I went to it a number of times myself, it had taken 2 rocket hits and was leveled down to the foundation. There was nothing left of it. And there was other areas in our compound that had gotten hit. And somebody said that there was a news cameraman taking pictures of the area. I didn't see him, but I didn't think too much about it. And months later, after I came home, I went to visit my folks, and my mother told me that she had seen me on television. And she told me about the time when it happened. She said, your father and I were watching Walter Cronkite, and they were talking about this attack on Tonsanute Air Base, and she knew I was stationed there. So they're watching, and she said I walked right across the screen. So that was pretty cool because, she saw that I was all right, But she didn't write to me and tell me that. She just waited until I came home and then told me. But we had incidents like that happening all the time around the base. During the rocket attacks, we had details where we would go out and sandbag. Either we were making the sandbags, or we were shipping them out to the trucks that surrounded the area where we were. And then there was details of the trucks that would take them out to different areas in the base and sandbag. They were going to sandbag all the buildings on the base. So you would pull these details. They were like 8-hour details, and you'd get one of the details. But you had the choice of either working in the field, making them, or going out on one of the trucks. So one night, I was out on one of the trucks, and we were in this area, and we were sandbagging these buildings. They were called hooches. It was a 1-story barracks. It housed 14 men. It was like wood halfway up, then screening for windows, and it had a corrugated metal roof. Well, we're working. There was 5 of us stacking sandbags. The rest of the guys were taking the sandbags off the truck and moving them to us, and we were stacking them. Well, this was during the time when the rocket attacks were coming, and they would come in every other night. The reason for that was they would try to get word back to the gunners, the enemy gunners, where they were hitting and what the damage was. So it always took an extra day to do that, and then they would readjust, and then the following day they would hit us again. Most of the time these were night attacks, sometimes 2 or 3 in a night. A lot of it was just harassment, and the rockets were falling all over the base. It was a big base. Sometimes it'd be close by us, sometimes not. This particular night, we were sandbagging this hooch, and we heard a couple of rockets drop in, and we knew what it was right off. And then the next thing I knew, the building was blowing up that we were sandbagging. What had happened was a rocket hit on the other side of the building and blew through the building.